Hey guys, Thunder here, and welcome back to another Questland tutorial. Today we're going to talk a bit about your daily routine. What should you be looking at doing, purchasing, and going through every single day in Questland, so you can be nice and strong and pretty much improve pretty quickly. It's going to be the focus of today. But if you have a moment, please like and subscribe on the video, as it helps other people find these videos and improve at Questland as well. And if you haven't, please check out my Patreon for all kinds of cool other perks. Alright, jumping right in here, we're going to be focusing on the daily routine, and we're going to take it a step at a time. The first thing, an obvious thing, is just collect your idol rewards. There's a lot of rewards you get from idol. And they're pretty useful, so you like to keep on top of collecting those as often as possible. There's no major reason to wait on collecting them. You could get a slight advantage in maybe the weekend QE, which is asking for extract and the empowering stones. But it's not worth playing too much or optimizing around unless you want to squeeze out every single point. So I just try and collect this as often as possible. The next is the jungle spin. You just get a free one every day. If you have the elite pass, you can skip the ad, which is what this banner is for here. All right. Hopping over to the harbor, you like to start these. Now, there are tricks to get a lot of voyages in a day. So if your goal here is to be really active and squeeze in a ton of voyages, doing one voyage reset a day can really earn you a lot of points. Now, the best way to do that would be to watch 2 ads on this long one right here. This will drop it down to 4 minutes. You can wait for that to complete. Then you watch 1 ad. Each ad is 45 minutes off the timer, right? You can watch 1 ad here, dropping you to 15, right? And then you can watch an ad here completely finishing this one. So what you're going to do is wait, is it 37 plus the 4, so roughly only 40 minutes for this voyage set, and then you can reset it and get an extra one. If you're able to do 4 or 5 voyage sets a day, you'll get a lot of extra resources over other people, and they build up pretty quick. Barrels are actually really, really useful, and gold and eternium, they're very nice to have. I'm not going to focus too much on that because I don't want to make you watch ads during the video, but normally I would skip 2 of these, run a skip on this one, and then run a skip on this and go for that reset. All right, hopping back over here. Now, the next thing we want to look at is our gold from the bank. Even though there's an ad, it's definitely worth it to grab this 50% on the gold. Gold's a very important resource right now. If you have the elite pass, which is actually featured right here, you can click this button and not watch an ad. And you get a couple of extra things, including some of those not having to watch anything from the elite pass, so it's a good option to look at if you want to save some time. We're going to pop over into the guild area. Now, first things first is let's be a good citizen for our guild, and we're just going to donate on all of these buttons right here. These buttons are pretty big for us and the guild. One, the guild experience works wonders for the guild. Nothing to hate there. Higher level guild is more players in your guild and more people to hang out with. Cannot hate that. And when you level up, big rewards for everyone. Fame is great. We'll talk about fame in a minute. But it lets you purchase more per day, which is always good. And guild coins are great for purchasing things. Now research, this is very important when you're in a guild. You always want to come in and click this tribute all. If you're short on a particular type of writs, usually it's this magic stat that runs behind on writs. So if you come in here and do these tributes first, and then hit your tribute all button, you could help out your guild, but only if you're short on these resources. Usually this one falls behind, which isn't great. I'm okay on resources, I'll just be tributing all here. All right, and that gives me some more guild coins as well. Now, over here in the guild shop, this is where our fame comes in. Our fame times 2 is what we can purchase every day from the guild shop. Now, when you're just getting started, some of these other options for gear and stuff could be okay. But a lot of times we're going to skip them because they're very expensive. So unless you have a large amount of guild coins, which you can build up over time, I would probably steer away from most of the options in here, as they can get quite pricey. Now, if you are competing in a quest event that requires emblem items of a specific legendary, and you have extra guild coins, you could actually buy some of those shards for a little bit of an advantage there. It's worth considering, but that is pricey, so don't use that as a go-to. Now, every single day as a go-to, what I like to do is I like to buy epic gear keys. I tend to buy this because there's a lot of quest events that like you to smelt epics. So I just like having lots of these around in case I need them. Now, epic orb keys, there's no real reason to get these right now. You could hoard a few if you wanted, but I personally don't see a lot of value in them. Legendary craft tokens are good for swaps, and you tend to see a lot of holiday events that like you to use legendary craft tokens. So I like to grab 2 of these, and I like to trade with my other guildmates. So I'll send them my 2 legendary craft tokens, they'll send me their 2, and that way we both gain legendary craft tokens. Moving down, a few more things. Personally, I love the epic craft tokens. They're very good. But before I buy these, if you have a lower VIP, you might want to come down to these writs. If you're low on writs, it's a really good way to stock up on more writs, so you can donate to the guild research, which is pretty important, especially if you're in a competitive guild. And it helps you out because when the guild's research levels up, you get more hero power, which is fantastic. But I'm good on both writs, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy a bunch of epic craft tokens, which is always good to have around. Epic craft tokens and rare craft tokens together can actually be used to create eternal keys, which help fuel one of the major quest events when you spend eternal keys and get a bunch of rewards. So it's great to have a bunch of these lying around that you can turn into eternal keys. Same with rare craft tokens. They help with the eternal key crafts, so I'm going to pick up a bunch of these. And these I just look to trade with my guildmates and go ahead and build up a nice big pool of tokens. It's very helpful, especially with events. Now see, I was able to buy a lot, but that's going to depend on your fame level. If you're newer, this won't be as high, so don't worry too much about it. Alright, leaving the guild section here, right, let's go ahead and talk to the tavern. Tavern, you can just grab a free gift. You can watch a quick video to get gems. I'm skipping the ads for this, but this is a good way to get an extra couple of gems each day. And you can pop a free spin on this wheel, which is always fun. You just get a couple of extra rewards. And, ooh, some gold. Nice. Alright. Now, moving over to the marketplace. There's a lot to do here. But what I actually like to do is come into the item shop once a day. And I like to buy this whenever it's up. It's a little bit of gold, but it can give you a nice advantage. Now, if you're short on gold because you're using it for Reforge, or you need to level artifact orbs, definitely skip this. But if you're doing okay on gold, this is a pretty good option for getting a bunch of extra, commons and rares and making craft tokens. Personally, I'm good on gold and I don't need to do any Reforge. So one of the things I like to do is, if I have a couple of gems around, is I'd like to reset this a couple of times and just stock up a little bit extra on those, because I like having a lot of craft tokens around. Now, if you're not spending or you're short on gold, don't worry about doing this. There's no reason to spend your gems in gold. It's just a minor thing. All right, coming on over to the trade shop. Now, the event coin won't be up every day, but the mall is something you have every single day. Now, I like to avoid all these top options. They're pretty expensive on gems and add up quick. But I like coming down here. Loot tokens are great, mostly for holiday events. Usually when they launch a holiday event, there's a lot of limited time gear and things like that. And sometimes really good weapons or artifact orbs get available. So I like to have a lot of them. So I actually buy the gem one and the gold one. If you're low on gems or not spending, you can definitely skip the gem one here. Same with the arena tickets. There's a quest event around them, so I like to buy both. For the gem one, if you're not spending, you can definitely skip this and save your gems. Coming down here for the empowering stones, I love to grab the gold for the empowering stones, but the gems are pretty expensive, so I avoid it. I prefer to get all my empowering stones from smelting. I would rather spend resources getting an epic item and smelting it than spending resources on the empowering stones directly. Because that way I'll also get points for smelting something in a quest event and extract tools. So it helps out more. Now these options are actually really big gold sinks. So this is saying if you have a ton of gold, you can get a bunch of Eternium. I recommend avoiding these unless you have all your artifact orbs and you're not reforging anymore, because you really do need a lot more gold in the current state of Questland than you used to. So I think these are a bit dangerous to use, and I would definitely steer away from them. You're going to get a bunch of divide tokens over time, so I definitely avoid these. Like I said earlier, I like having a lot of epics around for the quest events, so you'll typically see me pick up the gold offerings on these, but I don't like spending a lot of gems for epics. But I would do this if I was looking for building up empowering stones and I had some gems lying around that I didn't have a purpose for. Now the rest of the offers in here I tend to avoid because they're all gem based. Moving over into the stamp shop, you kind of have two options. Most of these items in here are really old and not worth it anymore, so I tend to avoid them. But these do every once in a while get an update, and that's worth noting. Reforged powder in here is pretty good. Extract tools in here is pretty good. If I need reforged powder extract tools, I will definitely buy this during an event that gives me points for buying it, because these are really expensive. It takes a while to build up this many stamps. So if you need to build up, say, your extract tools, then I'll wait for the event and then I'll spend the 50 stamps at once to get those and get points on my quest event. Alternatively, if you don't want to save up this amount of stamps, what you can do every day is come in here and just pick up some epic gear shards to build up that epic collection, which tends to be quite useful. Now the rest of this is just legendary orbs. These are great when you're first getting started and you need legendary orbs. It can be a pretty big power boost, but I definitely wouldn't overspend on these. With artifact orbs around, these are not something I would want to spend like 50 stamps on. It's a little bit excessive. But really early on, when you can pick up some for really low stamps, they can be helpful. And the rest of these really don't have much of a reason to pick up, so I tend to avoid them. Moving into the barrel shop, there's some great stuff in here. This is why I said the more voyages you can run, the better off you tend to be, because you build up barrels and then you can do things like afford a scheme for scheme quest events, or when something says, hey, you need a gear scheme for points. Very helpful. Now, on a daily basis, what I tend to do is I focus on the smaller offers first, and I clear out the loot tokens, the arena tickets, the spin tokens, right, and the gear shards. These can be a little expensive at 20 barrels a day, so sometimes you want to cut these out. But that's the core of what I buy, right? That just builds up my hoard. Now, personally, right, if you're doing a bunch of all these voyages every day, right, you'll have a little bit of extra barrels to play with. Now, I like to buy the Eternal Key, right, because we have Eternal Key Hueys. They give resources, they give points. They're a pretty important thing to have around, so I like to buy those. I avoid buying the gear schemes all the time because they're really expensive and they'll blow through your barrels very fast. But I look to buy them during quest events, or if I'm short a couple of schemes during the scheme quest event, things like that. One other thing to consider is these scroll options. If you're sub like 200% on your scrolls, spending very lightly on barrels on the first offers is okay, just to get a couple of extra scrolls a little bit quicker. But these second offers are really expensive on barrels for what they do. I would definitely avoid them. Now, stews are another interesting option. If you have a bunch of barrels and you're doing a bunch of voyages per day, I actually do recommend picking these up. Not for Monster Slayer most of the time. It is good to occasionally push through Monster Slayer and kind of snag first. That helps out a lot when it comes to getting gear schemes. But a lot of times the holiday events are very run this level of the campaign a lot. And stews plus loot tokens are actually the secret to doing well in those. So I like to hoard up a nice sizable amount of stews. All right. That's all we have to do in the marketplace on our daily routine. Let's hop over to the shop. First things first, we'll claim our daily reward. Love free daily rewards. Hop over to chest, and we usually get a bunch of open for free chests. So we just open whatever it gives us for free because it's free gear. There's nothing to hate on that. One more. Now, one thing to think about when you're kind of going through your daily routine is what time you want to go through it. And how competitive your guild is, because some things do reset. For instance, your gold recharges, right? You have your idol rewards that will recharge. So you have these, you have the gold over in the bank, and you also have your research donations over here. All right, so these are about every 8 hours. Personally, I try to make sure I always donate to this twice a day. So I always make sure that whenever I do my morning dailies, I'll pop back a little after 8 hours and do a cleanup of those second things. Now, if you're doing a lot more voyages, you're going to be on pretty constantly, and you'll probably just be around for them and you don't have to worry about them. But if you're not going to do a ton of voyages daily, you might want to think about when to come back to that. All right. Now, we've done a bunch of stuff, so let's hop on over into our quests and see how we did. So we've done pretty good here. And clean these up. And you notice there's a few more things that we have to do. All right, the first is actually use energy. This is actually a really good one. So what I like to do is I like to come to the max difficulty in the palace level, right? And you have a couple of options on these rare essences. We love these things. So pick whichever one you need more at the moment. I tend to need the health ones a little bit. I use them a lot. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to run this level. You can run a level 10 times before it locks. So we're going to run it 9, right? So that's going to leave it unlocked. And then this gives us a trick with a loot token. This is 4. All right, 5. And 6, 7, 8, and 9. Cool. Now, we're not going to do the 10th, because what we can do when it comes to 10th is we can open this up. See, it's 9 out of 10. And we can use a loot token here to pick up all the rewards from running that, which will give us 19 out of 10 for the loot for the level. So that's really, really nice. What I also like to do is to always kind of remember, and you have to exit these menus, is to come up to this plus. And if you have the Elite Passes free, just collect this 10 energy. And then as the day goes on, when you see this get up to 27, you can go ahead and repeat what we just did. And that will bring in a bunch of extra resources daily, which is very nice. Now, the other thing is you're going to have free arena fights. Now, this will increase. So depending on your VIP level or VIP benefits, right? I get 6 free fights a day. But if you go down on this, right, you can see there's 4, 3, you get extra free fights. And I believe you get 2 baseline. You want to use those every day. They're just a good thing to kind of burn through. Because it goes ahead and it says, all right, if I'm using all these free fights daily, right, that gives me a pretty big boost in my arena score. Right, and that boost in your arena score, just kind of a little bit every day, goes a pretty long way when it comes to actually scoring well for the season and getting your honor points. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to go through the arena real quick. Now, I'm using the farmer build, so you're tending to see me look for people with offhand shields that have your heal my gain and a heal ability. As it kind of lets me chain my board to be full of lots of spirits. Like, here we go. This is a good target for me. But that's just for my PvP build I have set up right now. You can always switch it for your opponent to pick the best opponent for you. Right? And this is just how I'm forming all the red spirits. I do have a video on this build. It's called The Farmer. So you can go ahead and take a look at that if you're curious how it all works. Right, and we're just going to blast through all of these arena fights real quick. We're going to not hit the top people so I don't damage their score too badly. All right. So, kind of blowing through these arena fights. It's nice to win, so just make sure you pick your target, adjust your build, take your time. You don't have that many arena fights you have to do daily. So it's always nice just to go ahead and kind of squeeze those out, get your extra arena points each day, right? And then this gives you a nice kind of income of the honor points, and it helps you score better at the end of the season. Then you can get the seasonal rewards, which is pretty nice. Lots of honor lets you get schemes. It lets you get spirits, whatever you kind of need. Which goes a pretty long way. And I think I have one more here. And this looks pretty good. All right. Zoom through this. Oh, that's a bad starting board. We will work with it though. Okay. And that's how you kind of use those. Then we come back and we clean up our wonderful daily events. Now, if you don't want to do one of these, or you tend to skip running the levels on energy, you can always go in and level up your gear with Eternium. My gear is currently max level, so I'm not going to level anything up. But that gets you a bunch of things here. Now, one other thing to look at daily is we have the daily boss. Which one is this guy? Ah, yes, the Phantom Miner. If you're using the Questland Discord bot, that can go ahead and tell you the best build for the daily boss. You definitely want to run this guy every single day. He gives stamps and spirits, both of which are very hard to get in other ways. So it really does benefit you to take kind of the time to go through and kill that boss. Let's use Firebird here. All right, and this boss is one of the more annoying ones, so the fight will take a bit, right? But what you're really looking at here is coming over to the rewards section, right? Getting stamps, right? Getting these reds and getting spirits every single day is really, really good. It's definitely something you want to look at when you're doing this. 2 red spirits is awful. I'm restarting that fight. It's definitely something you want to look at doing every day. Now, some of the daily bosses are easier than other ones. Some of them, like this one, kind of suck, and you don't really have another good option. But you do run through them anyway, even if it takes a while to run through them, because moving through these daily bosses is actually really important. Oh, this is the dodge guy. So what we're actually going to be doing is alternating our attacks here to drop his dodge buff. Right? This is dodge. No, this is anti-stun. And yeah, dodge. Whenever I use 4 of an attack, he gains cannot be dodged, so I'll be healing using 1 of something to get that buff to fall off. All right, and we're just going to spend our time going through and burning down this boss. All right. Yeah, this is going to take a while, unfortunately. This guy sucks. But that's going to be kind of the core of your dailies. The more often you go through and you do those voyages is definitely what I would consider a way of scaling up what you're working, like how fast you want to progress, right? The more of those barrels you get, the faster you're going to improve. There's no doubt. Barrels can get you access to a lot of important resources that can help you do well in quests and score more points. So I'd say that's the one thing you have a lot of control over, is really pushing how many voyages you do a day up a lot. If you're doing 5 sets of voyages a day, you're getting an insane amount of barrels. So purchasing schemes whenever you need them, going ahead and grabbing things like the extra stews, or going ahead and grabbing extra legendaries. It can do a lot of really good stuff for you. There we go. Ran through the boss, and that should give me some stamps for the day, which is nice. All right. And what do I have over here? Oh, just something for doing some arena quests. Cool. All right. And that's going to wrap it up in terms of doing dailies in Questland. Oh, and when you do buy some of the gem purchases, You will a lot of times in your daily shopper get a couple of extra rewards, which is just nice. All right, that is going to wrap up the daily routine overview. I hope this helps you excel in Questland and improve a lot. If you reach the end like this, thank you very much for taking the time to watch. If you have a moment, please consider liking and subscribing to help other people find this channel and learn about Questland as well. And if you haven't, please take a look at my Patreon for all kinds of cool perks and Questland stuff that I offer. Thunder out.